What if ChatGPT could do a lot more than just answer your questions? Welcome to AI Professor, where we explain AI, machine learning, and future technologies from zero to hero. Today, we're unpacking a massive technological shift that experts believe is going to completely define this decade. We're talking about a huge leap forward in artificial intelligence. So let's just dive right in.
Imagine this for a second. What if an AI didn't just passively spit out text when you ask it something? What if instead it could autonomously open up a web browser, analyze a bunch of files, write some code, send an email, and actually finish a complex, multi-step task totally on its own? Well, that is exactly the fascinating world of AI agents.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. What is an AI agent? 2. ChatGPT versus AI agents. 3. Anatomy of an agent. 4. Real-world AI agents. And 5. The future of agentic AI.
Okay, Section 1. What is an AI agent? Moving from advisor to actor.
So according to the research, an AI agent, which is sometimes called a compound AI system, is basically a system that pursues goals, uses external tools, and takes real actions with varying degrees of independence. Think about the shift like this. Using a standard chatbot is kind of like asking someone for advice, but an AI agent? That's literally like hiring a digital employee to do a job for you. You give it the goal and it figures out the route on its own. Let's make this real with a classic travel booking example from our sources. Normally, you might prompt an AI with, "Hey, what are the cheapest flights to Tokyo?" But with an agent, you just give it the goal. The AI agent goes out, searches multiple different websites, compares all the prices, picks the best option based on your specific needs, and then automatically books the ticket. It orchestrates that whole multi-step loop completely without you having to sit there and babysit it.
Section 2. ChatGPT versus AI agents, the paradigm shift.
Now, you might be wondering, isn't this all just ChatGPT? Well, not exactly. The core difference here comes down to function. ChatGPT, at its heart, is a large language model, or an LLM. Its main job is generating text by predicting the next word based on patterns it learned during training. AI agents, on the other hand, are compound systems. They take that same LLM reasoning engine, but then they strap on memory, planning capabilities, external tools, and automation software. To put it simply, ChatGPT answers, AI agents orchestrate and act.
Historically, AI has mostly been about decision support, right? It crunches the data and gives you a recommendation. Then, a human looks at it and actually executes the action. But with agentic AI, the agent looks at the data, does the reasoning, makes a plan, and then executes the action itself. It adapts and learns as it goes. That human execution step? Completely removed. Which, by the way, creates a massive new governance gap when it comes to accountability. But we'll get into that a bit later.
Moving on to Section 3. Anatomy of an agent. How do they actually work?
Most of these AI agents run on a structured loop that is honestly a lot like human problem solving. First, they perceive their environment. Then, they come up with a plan to break down a huge goal into smaller chunks. Third, they grab external tools. Fourth, they act on the environment. And finally, they reflect on what just happened. They evaluate if they succeeded or if they need to pivot and try a different strategy.
Right at the center of all this is the LLM reasoning engine, basically the agent's brain. The agent gets an objective, comes up with a strategy, and constantly evaluates itself. This thinking process hooks up directly with utility functions, web engines, and knowledge databases to actually get the job done.
But here is where it gets wild. For an agent to actually learn from what it's doing, it needs memory. And researchers have literally mapped agent memory directly to human cognitive science. Advanced agents use 4 distinct types of memory. First, there's working memory, which is the live context of whatever task it's doing right now. Then there's episodic memory, which logs what happened in past interactions. Semantic memory stores hard rules and facts. And finally, procedural memory holds verified scripts and patterns. Having these multiple layers of memory is exactly what allows agents to build a sort of identity and adapt over time.
And the research community knows this is absolutely crucial. The growth in AI agent research right now is staggering. Research specifically focused on self-reflection is exploding. It's projected to nearly double in just a year. And deep technical work into things like episodic memory and state tracking is climbing super fast too. The frontier of AI has decisively moved towards systems that can track their own state and reflect on their own mistakes.
So let's look at how this all comes together. A user request comes in, and the agent formulates a plan, breaking the whole thing down into sequential steps. Then it starts carrying out tasks using its available tools. And tools are the real game changer here. You can give an agent access to a web browser, a code interpreter, specific APIs or calculators, allowing it to interact with the real world, check if the outcome actually worked, and loop back if it didn't.
All of this builds up to the action layer. This is the real climax of the loop. It is no longer just words on a screen. The agent is interacting with other software. It's firing off emails on your behalf, updating corporate spreadsheets, generating and deploying live code, and actively learning when it hits a roadblock or an error message. It is true autonomous orchestration.
Section 4. Real-world AI agents, the new workforce.
These aren't just theoretical concepts anymore. AI agents are rapidly becoming a brand new digital workforce. In software engineering, coding agents are already out there debugging apps and building whole websites. In customer support, agents are handling messy, unstructured inputs, processing refunds, and resolving issues with zero human supervision. We're seeing research bots pulling social media data and organizing it into high-level strategic reports, and productivity agents that are starting to completely automate daily scheduling and travel planning.
And I'm not just talking about tiny startups experimenting in a lab. Massive global companies are running these frameworks today. Industry analysis shows that agent orchestration frameworks, things like LangChain, LangGraph, and Crew AI, are already deployed in production at huge enterprises like IBM, PwC, and Klarna. They are literally trusting these multi-agent frameworks to handle live business processes.
Section 5. The future of agentic AI, the do-it-for-me economy.
We are heading straight into what the research calls the do-it-for-me economy. This quote from our sources perfectly captures the vibe. Instead of clicking buttons manually, humans may simply describe goals. The AI agent will handle the execution. This is a fundamental evolution in how we use software. The interface of the future isn't going to be a menu of buttons to click. It's going to be a conversation where you just delegate your goals.
Now, obviously, handing over the keys like this comes with some pretty serious risks. We are facing a massive governance challenge. As we move away from full human control toward bounded and eventually unbounded autonomy, the risk of ethical drift goes way up. If an autonomous agent is optimizing corporate buying or deciding who gets public welfare, its actions directly impact fairness, safety, and real human rights. Making sure we keep these agents firmly locked in the bounded autonomy zone with the right guardrails is going to be the critical challenge for regulators going forward.
Which brings us to our final ultimate question. We are rapidly moving from software that gives us good advice to software that takes real action on our behalf. As these agents gain more memory, sharper reasoning, and the power to execute highly complex tasks, are we, as a society, actually ready for the do-it-for-me economy? Think about how a change like that is going to impact your daily workflow, your industry, and your entire life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.